You are listening to the Boss Experience Podcast, a podcast with conversations about business growth, self-development, and maintaining a mindset to achieve business success. My name is Michele Davis, and I am a business strategist and coach, and I am your host. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Boss Experience, the podcast that helps small business owners turn messy marketing into predictable systems and results. My name is Michele Davis, and I'm your host. And today's episode is for small business owners who have teams and you're thinking about reorganizing. Maybe you're reorganizing because revenue's down, or maybe you had a couple of bad hires that didn't live up to your expectations, or maybe you have some systems that are broken and you really don't know how to fix it, and you thought that you were hiring people that could fix it or could help you shed light on what's wrong, and that didn't work out either. And so today's topic is how to reorganize your business for better marketing results without making costly marketing mistakes. And the thing is, reorganizing your team and your business is more than just cutting costs or just moving people around. It's about aligning your business with the outcomes you actually want. So let's get into the episode. So today's episode title, like I mentioned before, is How to Reorganize Your Business for Better Marketing Results Without Making Costly Mistakes. So I'm going to break that down into 5 parts. And the first point I want to make is start with vision, not panic. Before you make any changes in your business, get crystal clear on what you're trying to achieve and why. Are you reorganizing because your current marketing isn't bringing you the number of leads you want? Or are you reorganizing because you've lost revenue and you need to do more with less? Or maybe you want to just modernize how your team currently works. And without a clear vision for what you're trying to achieve, you're just moving chairs around. When you're clear on your why, you'll be able to measure if the changes are actually helping you or hurting you. And you want to ask yourself, what is this reorganization really about? Is this about efficiency? Is it about replacing lost revenue? Or is it about adapting to how marketing works today? Or maybe it's something else. Maybe you had some bad hires and you don't even realize it. Now you got this mess and you don't really know how to fix it. I've seen a lot of business owners not have the vision for what they were trying to achieve, and they act on impulse. Oh my God, I don't have appointments this week. This person has to go, and they react to what's happening instead of thinking, how can they strategically change what's happening and get better results without being impulsive? Because the bottom line is the vision starts with you. And when you have the vision about your business, what you want to achieve, how you've achieved results in the past, you can convey that vision to your team in a way that they understand, in a way that helps them replicate the results you've achieved in the past. And if you don't have a vision and you're wanting your team to come in and fix your business, that usually doesn't work because your team is there to perform a task. They're not there as business planners or business developers or consultants. And they need to have your vision and your direction, and they need to have a plan. They need to have, fit within your existing system. So you have to have a vision for what that system is so that you can ensure that your team performs within that system and that they help you achieve what it is you're trying to achieve in your business. So the first point is have a vision. The second point is create a written plan for that vision with options. And like I mentioned before, too often reorganization is done as a result of panic. Someone leaves, revenue isn't what it was last month, and suddenly you're shuffling your team around, throwing them into roles, expecting them to produce the results that you want in your business. And oftentimes there's no real plan for what that reorganization actually is going to look like. And you need to take a step back and you need to write out your plan and you need to have options, for what that plan can look like. Ask yourself, what are the changes I'm considering? Write it out. What are the pros and cons of each decision? Write it out. How does each option impact my marketing, my operations, and revenue long term? And write it out. And if your goal is to market more efficiently in your business, you need to make more decisions through that lens, not through panic. Write it down, compare it, and think strategically, not emotionally. So, point one is have a vision. Point two is create a written plan. Point three is don't be so quick to let go of the institutional knowledge that you have with your team. Big mistake I see, especially with small business owners, is they haphazardly cut roles to save money without realizing the long-term cost of losing institutional knowledge. And institutional knowledge is the knowledge your team possesses about your company, about your history as a company. That team member that you think is just handling admin might know things no new hire or AI tool can replace. They understand your customers, they have relationships with your customers, they know your processes, and they might even be the glue that's holding your marketing all together. And sometimes they're the glue that's holding your business together. I can't tell you how many times I've seen business owners just not see the value they have in their team. And they haphazardly, shuffle people around, or they let go of people who have that institutional knowledge, and the business falls apart after that because they didn't have a vision and they didn't have a plan for what they were trying to achieve or how their actions would impact their business and their marketing and their revenue in the long run. So before you make cuts, weigh this. What knowledge walks out of the door with them? How long will it take to rebuild that, if it's even possible? And what's the real cost of starting from scratch with someone new? There's so many horror stories where you have business owners that haphazardly let people go and they're calling them back because they didn't even realize the significance they brought to their organization or their business to begin with. So, of course, you end up losing not just that valuable institutional knowledge that that person possessed, but they probably had ideas about how your business could be more efficient. They could help, you shape your vision because they've been doing the work. You just never asked them what it was like to do the work or how you can help them do their job better. Maybe they needed more resources. Maybe they needed a specific software tool. Maybe they needed a means of being more organized. But if you don't know what your individual team members are doing or the value they bring, it's very easy to let that institutional knowledge walk out the door and you are stuck, right? You're stuck because you didn't take the time to value what they were doing and see what their ideas are about that work and how it could be done more efficiently or better, or for them to even write out what they do so that in the event that they leave on their own or for whatever reason, a lot of times business owners don't have things written out, so they have no idea how to even hand off a process to someone else. So you definitely want to keep your institutional knowledge. They can be more of an asset to you when you're establishing your vision and in helping you really make your business more efficient. And the fourth point I want to make is, where does AI fit in? Because point one was create the vision. Point two was create a written plan so you know how certain actions will impact your marketing, revenue, and operations. Point three was value that institutional knowledge. Now, point four is, where does AI fit in? Because you're hearing a lot about AI and you're hearing a lot about how AI can make your business grow faster without having all of the extra cost of employees. So, of course, AI is changing how we operate and how we do business. But AI isn't always about replacing people. Will people be replaced with AI? Yes. But it may not be a replacement in the way you're thinking. Maybe the roles of people will change, and maybe you won't fill the positions that you previously had in your business. Maybe AI can take over some of those roles and you can shift people around with training to perform other roles in your organization. Because when you think about, small businesses and how they operate and having people that know the company, know the business. Yes, they may have been comfortable in their previous role, but when you have a vision and you have that written plan, you can kind of move them around because they already know your company, right? They've been there. So they know how other aspects of your business, in most cases, they know how other aspects of your business operate. That's why you need that written plan. When you're thinking about bringing in AI, we just don't let everyone go and then you're stuck trying to figure out the processes. And so I say all of that to say AI isn't about necessarily replacing people. It's helping your existing team perform at a higher level. So instead of hiring more people or burning out the team you already have, you can implement AI in your business in a way that handles lead follow up faster, automates the booking, streamlines your content creation, or improve your marketing efficiency before you start adding, additional marketing teams and marketing people on your team. Just use AI to see how it can make your current marketing more efficient. And then bring people in if you need to into that system. And so when we think about where AI fits in, it's about helping your existing resources stretch even further. And, the other big thing that AI can help you do is answer your calls. Manage your calls instead of having, a dedicated professional sitting at the desk. Maybe there's another role that person can play and you let AI answer the calls and then shift them into something else or train them how to do something else in your business. And you can only use AI to stretch your resources further when you have the right tools and the right systems in place and your team knows how to use them effectively. And the fifth point I want to make is train before you cut. That way you can avoid regret later. And here's the piece that most business owners miss is training is cheaper than turnover. It costs so much money to have a vacancy because when you have a vacancy in your business, that means those tasks aren't being performed and those tasks are being haphazardly taken over by someone who may not understand what that role did, or they may not understand the importance of those tasks or how to even carry them out. So before you cut roles or restructure entirely, you want to ask yourself, have I invested in giving my current team the skills and systems to succeed in this new environment? And knowing exactly what skills and systems they need in relation to marketing, in relation to operations, and in relation to administrative needs of your business, and in relation to helping you grow your business. Often the problem isn't necessarily the people. Yeah, you do get some bad hires, or you do have some people that may be underperforming or may not be performing to their maximum potential. Yes, you do have those. But for the most part, when there's something happening in your business, a lot of times it may not be the people. The problem may not be the people. It may not be your team. Maybe it's the process. Maybe it's a lack of clarity. Maybe it's the absence of proper systems and tools. And if your organization is big enough, maybe it's the supervision that they're getting or lack of it, or lack of support from a supervisor. So when you're thinking about reorganization, don't always think about it in terms of removal. Sometimes it means repositioning people or reskilling people. And when I say reskilling, giving them training and support to perform the task in this new vision and environment that you're imagining in your business. So let's just recap. Point one, start with vision, not panic. Point two, create a written plan that maps out what you're trying to achieve. Point three, consider the cost of losing institutional knowledge. Point four, see where AI can fit in to better support your business and help you operate more efficiently. And point five is train before you cut so you avoid regret later. As I close out this episode, I just want to say a lot of business owners make decisions based on frustration, and it's often not based on strategy. And as a result, it leads to a lot of mistakes, things that make the problem worse instead of making it better. They blame the team when it's really the lack of processes that the team has in place. They hire agencies that can so-called fix the problem when it's really about a systems issue. They chase new hires when AI could help the people they already have perform better. And to be quite honest, if a new hire is walking into the same broken system and you haven't fixed or even asked, your team how they could be more efficient and what are some of the issues, bringing a new hire into a broken system isn't going to fix the problem anyway. The key is knowing what you need to fix and not guessing so that you can fix those problems first and bring people in or restructure things in a way so people can feel like they're working efficiently and there's systems and support and processes in place instead of working in the chaos that got you to the point of losing revenue or for marketing and operations to not be efficient in the first place. A lot of times there's things that aren't working and you don't know why. You're marketing, but you're not getting results. You don't know what's wrong, so you don't know how to fix it. So if you're feeling like, oh my God, I spent all this money on marketing and my business isn't growing, you're not alone. You're not alone. Before you reorganize, before you let go of your team, let's have a conversation. Because a lot of times, people think we market and then we get the customer. And they're missing all of that stuff that often needs to happen in between. And if you don't know what that stuff is, and you're trying to fix things in the blind and your team doesn't know what's supposed to happen in between, or they don't know and they can't overstep you. They can't decide for you what needs to happen in between. They have to have that guidance from you. What's supposed to happen from the time someone sees your advertisement or calls to the time they close. And it's not just about sending reminders. It's so many things that can be broken from the time someone sees your advertisement and they're attempting to book that service. And if you don't have the right system or the right processes in place, or you don't even know what's broken, you can end up paying for advertising that's going to result in them booking with your competition because they may have all of these processes and systems in place and they end up getting your client. So before you reorganize or invest in new hires, let's have a conversation because at Gemstone Consulting Services, which is my company, we help small business owners like you map out your customer acquisition process, fix the weak points in your process. We tell you exactly what's wrong and what your options are for fixing it. And we help you implement AI systems that help your team work smarter, not harder. And we support your team in learning those systems and processes as well by giving them guidance on how to use those new systems and processes that we're suggesting you implement in your business. Just book your free marketing assessment call by heading over to ai.gemstoneconsultingservices.com. That's ai.gemstoneconsultingservices.com. You'll leave with clarity, a clear plan, and options for how to fix what's happening in your business. And that's whether you work with us or not. With that said, that's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Boss Experience podcast. If you found this information helpful, make sure you subscribe and share this episode with another business owner who needs to hear this, or in your organizations or groups that you're a part of where other business owners need this information. Because I guarantee you, you're not the only one struggling. And you don't have to struggle alone. So you can head over to ai.gemstoneconsultingservices.com and book a free, no obligation marketing efficiency assessment. Until next time, work smarter, not harder. That's a wrap, and I can't wait for you to tune in for the next episode of the Boss Experience podcast. Bye for now. Thank you for tuning in to the Boss Experience podcast. Don't forget to leave a review for this episode and tune in next time.